Well, welcome back to the shop. What I've got, thought I'd share a little tip with you, a little taxidermy tip. Been doing a lot of hunting, haven't got any big trophy bucks, but I did put some meat in the freezer. So I'll be sharing with some of that with you later on. And hunting season's about over with, so it's almost time to back the truck up to the boat and head down to the water. But I got quite a few fish I need to take care of. It's going to take me a while to take care of that. And I thought I would share a little bit with you. A lot of times on the bass, when mounting a bass or a larger fish like that, we'll put them on a form such as that. But a lot of times when we're mounting a smaller fish, such as a bluegill, shellcracker, crappie, and so forth. At times I do put them on a form, but a lot of times it's easier to mix up what's called powdered fish filler. And I have some right here, and all you have to do is add some water to it, mix it up into a grits type consistency, and if you're from the north and you don't know what grits consistency is, well, you got to try some grits. And all you folks moving down from up north down south, you got to go for breakfast. You got to get some grits and eggs and bacon. Okay, I'm going to share with you a little bit. I've got this bluegill already skinned out. I've had him in the solution for days, a pickling solution that helps preserve the skin, and I like to leave them in there most of the time a minimum of 3 days. Some people like to just mix water and preservative, let the fish soak in there for a little while and mount it. I don't do that. I use of course, I use the preservative, but I use some other ingredients also that an old taxidermist from Mississippi taught me years ago and gave me the ingredients to. The only thing I don't use that he used back then is he was using formaldehyde, and I've gotten away from that because it's honestly, it's very dangerous stuff. So I just kind of shoved the formaldehyde over to the side. But I've got 3 or 4 different ingredients I use to pickle the skin with. And then I also line the skin with inside with dry preservative. And before I start the mounting process. So I'm going to add some water to this and get it to the consistency I want. And we're going to show you how we go about it. I made a couple of boo-boos. This was an old bluegill that I had. It was personally mine that I'm doing this with. And the skin, well, it wasn't as tough as it used to be. I've had it in the freezer for a long time. And so I made a couple of boo-boos, but most of it's on the back side, and I'll be able to repair some of that and take care of it. And he's going to be a wall mount and show side, and by the time everything's said and done, you really won't even know that boo-boo is there. And a good taxidermist, they don't like to make them boo-boos, but a good one kind of knows how to repair it at the final stage if he's been at it for a while. So let me mix this dry preservative up, and we'll take it from there. All right, here we go. I've got this mixed about the way that I need to mix it, I believe. And we're just going to start putting it in the fish. And just to begin with, just rake some of it on in there. And I like to spread it out where it needs to go as I'm working with it. Now, I'll be using Sculptol and stuff like that on the final stages when this thing dries. And But right now, this is the deal right here. It looks kind of messy. It looks like it's going to be all messed up, but I promise you, when everything's said and done, it's going to look fine. And the one thing you got to do, because you don't have a form, you got to have a block of wood back here in the back, so that when you put him on that panel or that piece of driftwood, you're going to have something that the screws is going to screw in to the back there. Let's go ahead and get some more of this in there. I might have to mix up some more, but hopefully not. But let's see how it turns out. I think I might have enough. I think so. I hope anyway. Okay. This is looking okay so far. I think that might be all that I need to put in him. On this side, I could put some more on the tail there and smooth everything kind of out and get it smoothed out. I would rather have him looking a little bit too large than I would too small. Now, what I want to do is I want to form him. Now, usually I'll have a cradle. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I make cradle for a lot of them to set them in to mount out of plaster, but I decided not to do this. I just decided to use the old bass cradle that I use here and try that. So let's see what we got going on here. And there's really not a lot to this. Once you get used to doing all of it, and you probably can see a couple of the boo-boos I made, but that's all right. It'll be on the back side. Like I said, the fish had, like I said, this was my personal fish, and he'd been in the freezer so long until I'm afraid he was starting to freezer burn on me. That's why the skin was so tender to tear with me. That's why it's important, if you catch a fish, you should get him to the taxidermist as soon as you can. As soon as he'll take him. Of course, I'm not taking any right now. I've just got too much to do. So I just decided not to take any at the moment. I got some to mount, quite a few to mount, to be honest with you, and because I primarily do fish anymore, some small game. I don't even do deer heads unless it's one of my own to deal with anymore. And one of the things also that I deal with and I do is here, let me set this right here. These pins come in handy for manipulating. You got to work with this thing, and it'll set in here for a while. It's got to set, and everything's got to do a setting, and before it completely dries, I'll come back and I'll form these pins the way, these fins the way they need to be. But I don't want it too bulky back here, and that's why I'm taking a little bit more of it off of there. But it's a lot. It's interesting to do in case you know you want to learn to do something like that. You got to have patience. You can't get overbearing and get frustrated. You can't get frustrated. I mean, it's easy to get frustrated with it, but it's best if you don't. And I think that's looking pretty good for now for this old fish. This is an old fish. God, how long have I had that thing in the freezer? I wouldn't do someone else's. I wouldn't leave someone else's in the freezer that long. I would do like I'm doing. If I couldn't handle it all within a reasonable amount of time, I would just have to tell you, I'm not taking any right now. You just might find someone else to take over, but I would rather do your fish with high quality, better than this that I'm doing. And if I couldn't do that, I'd rather just take it to somebody else. If I could not give it the care and time that I need to give, that's all it is to it. But what I'm gonna do, I think that's enough in there. And what I do while the drying takes place, the curing of the setting up of that, I keep the fins kind of moistened down every once in a while because I don't want them to get hard with me and difficult to manipulate. So I'll let that set up for a little while, and then I'll come back, and when it hardens up after a little while, I can come back and then I can set them fins the way I want to set them. And so it's going to work out fine. And so I hope you learned something there, and you never want to forget putting that piece of wood in there. So, because he's not going to be able to hold on to whatever you mount him to with just that fish filler. Even though it's hard, you need a block of wood in there that screw can latch hold to. So I'll let you see the progression of this, and watch how it takes place. And some of the little spots on there, you'll be able to fill that up with Sculpt All. Of course, if the fish is fresh, the skin is not going to tear like that. I'll tell you that. If he's in the freezer for a long time, he starts to freezer burn. Well, then you might have a problem with the skin wanting to tear with you. But if they're fairly fresh, if the fish has been in the freezer no longer than 2 or 3 months, it's more than likely he's going to be fine. Especially old bass. Old bass has got a tough skin to him. But we're going to leave that alone and let it set up for a while. And I'll come back, and I like my fins on most of my fish, unless the customer requests something different in a swimming mode maybe. I like my fish with a slight curve, some of them with a deep curve, but a slight curve if they're wall mount, and I like the fins flared out on them, and either the mouth half open or all the way open or something like that. So thank you for viewing this, and see you guys later on. Well, I'm back. Went in and had some supper. My wife had venison burger tacos. If you've never had venison burger tacos, you don't know what you're missing. But I've got part of the bluegill carded up, the fins. You got to card the fins up. And so I've got a couple more to do, and let you take a look at that, and the process and everything of how it goes. And because you want them set before the fish starts drying, how they're going to be, because, well, when they dry, that's what you're going to get. So take a look at this. All right, let's see what we've got here. Let's It's good to card the fish up, and I use cardboard, and a lot of times the wire screen, and these giant paper clips, or sometimes clothespins. It just depends. Pretty easy operation, all in all. Not very hard at all. You just want them on there like you want the fins to look. When everything is dried, said and done. But like I said, I like my fins pretty wide, pretty open. You don't need a lot of top dollar, high class stuff to do taxidermists when it comes to this right here. You can buy some of this down at your craft or hardware store. This part here, and it'll get the job done. You can't find the fish filler down at the craft store or fish forms. You've got to order those. But I think we got something good going here. Now I'm going to turn it around like this for now. And what I like to do, I like this fin to be up and around and curved. So what I do is take a block of wood and put up under there like that to give it that curved look. And also, let's see what I can find here. Yes, this is it right here. Popsicle sticks. Because I like my mouth, like I said, to be open. I live out in the country, and I don't know if you can hear it or not, but sounds like some of the owls is having a good time out there. Boy, are they. I wish you could hear it. Now what that'll do is that'll hold that mouth open, and I'm going to get this clothespin, because on this particular fish I want the gills to be open. So I'm just going to prop this up under here and keep that gill open. But I want this right here to be up like this and out. So where is my other pins at? Okay, here we go. I want let's see here. I want this to be up and out. I think that'll work just like that right there. Okay. Now I may put another block up under that. I want that tail out just a little bit more. Curved around just a little bit more. There we go. And I want something done with this. I want to turn this around to give it a little more. You can bend your paper clips sometimes and it'll help give the curve that you want. Okay. All right. All right. That's looking pretty good. All it's got to do now is dry. And that'll take a while because I don't have a fan anymore right now. Usually, you know, if I air dry it, I like for it to air dry 2 or 3 months. I probably don't need that long, but that's what I do. And unless I've got a fan and I've got to get another fan to put in, create the dryer effect, drying room effect, and it'll dry much faster like that. So there you have it. That's the mount job. It turned out pretty good. You don't see those boo-boos I made, do you? And you'll see them even less when it dries and I finish with it. And a couple of them, you put it up on the wall and you'll never know they're there. So it's a nice looking bluegill, considering it was an old bluegill. God, I don't know how old that thing was. It had to be, it might have been several years old. I don't know. It's probably at least a year old, possibly, or 2 or 3, but you don't need to leave them in the freezer that long. And that's what caused me some problems to begin with, is it started to freezer burn on me. But I'm glad I was able to get it mounted, and I think it's going to turn out fine once everything dries and I start the finishing touches on it and put the color in it and everything. I believe it's going to turn out just fine. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll get up with you in the very near future.